Bonjour, hello tout le monde, and bonjour Federica. Buongiorno Federica.
Buongiorno.
So my guest today is Federica Piga. She's a neurolanguage coach and certified trauma recovery coach. She speaks multiple languages and she's developed a holistic approach to foreign language teaching. She's integrating stress releasing strategies for learners struggling with recall and communication. So I thought that would be very useful for everyone learning languages. And we're going to talk about trauma-informed practices for coaches and in language learning as well. And she also explores how society, culture, and memory intersect in language learning. So I wanted to know more about that and also know more about everything you've done so far, Federica. Hello, bonjour, bienvenue. Welcome to Crossroads, La Croisée des Chemins, a show where guests from various backgrounds and ethnicities share with us stories and insights about their identity, language struggles, and moving abroad. Listen to inspiring life journeys of personal and professional growth. Find out how my guests have taken their fate into their own hands and how they're contributing to making the world a better place. I'm your host, Cathy Intro, a certified professional neurolanguage coach and teacher trainer who believes that language learning is a process of personal development and that speaking multiple languages is worth the mess it brings in our lives. This podcast is my contribution to making lesser heard voices more visible. So please subscribe, share, leave comments, and anything you can think of to boost the visibility even more. This podcast is available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and other platforms. So let's get started. Bonne écoute. So can you tell us a little bit more about yourself, how you came to be a neurolanguage coach and a trauma recovery coach?
My journey to become a neurolanguage coach and a trauma recovery coach began with a passion to just understanding how the brain works. So when I started teaching Italian 9 years ago, I completely loved this part of teaching, like how the brain change in people, like how the brain is working, and it's different from people, from one person to another, because one person is learning fast, one person is learning a bit slow. So this was very fascinating for me. And then, and that's how I discovered Rachel Mary Pilling, just because I loved neuroscience. And I found her in Facebook and I started being a big fan of her.
You stalked her for a while and then you jumped in and got a certification.
Exactly, because it was amazing. So I studied a lot for that, and then I became a trauma recovery coach for a different, like, again, because I love neuroscience and we studied a lot of it, but also because when after finishing my after I decided to stop teaching only. I loved, I found this new opportunity to study for trauma recovery coaching. It was in the meantime when I was still teaching, but I was already like, okay, it's after 9 years, I want to do something different. And trauma I think is a very important problem right now in society. And that's what I started teaching, because I started teaching in the refugee camps.
Okay.
So refugees were coming from Syria and a lot of war countries, and that's where that's where everything started. And I found that I was very like enjoying to help people with problems. Yeah, that's it.
Right. So maybe that's a good segue into how are trauma and language or trauma and language learning connected in your experience?
Yeah, in my experience, trauma and language learning are deeply connected, often in ways that aren't immediately obvious, you know. Indeed, trauma can really impact a person's ability to learn, because sometimes when there are specific trauma, for example, abusive, neglecting or abusive psychological abuse, for example, They are very interconnected, because when you have such a trauma, you don't want to talk, you don't want to communicate, right? So everything you say, it's a problem, because you were abused. You were said that you were an idiot and you can't, you did a mistake. So that's where they are interconnected. And also there is, in general, with trauma, there is a cortisol level very elevated, always, sometimes really, really a lot. And the cortisol is our primary stress hormone, right? So this state of constant alertness and activation and trigger, can make it challenging to engage in the process also of learning a new language, right? Or of communicating with people in general, even if it's not like with you, in your language, right?
If I sum up the effects that trauma can have on language learning and communication, I hear that one is like it elevates the level of cortisol and stress. And so it puts you in a constant stress of alertness and like feeling threatened by everything around you. And so that generates like a kind of barrier to the communication where you're reluctant to engage. And then you also, your abilities are limited by all this stress and you cannot access everything you know to communicate in that foreign language. Is that right?
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, cool. Wow, super interesting. We don't realize that often.
No,
like learners
nobody
don't know.
knows it.
I was trained as well, but learners don't know that that's what's happening in their brain, and they're, why am I not enough? Why am I not able to communicate? Well, it's your brain just dealing with whatever happened in your past and telling you you need to address those blocks and go to the roots of that barrier that you're encountering. So
exactly.
So yeah, please continue. Tell us more about trauma and language learning.
So on the flip side, language learning can give a powerful tool in trauma recovery in the meantime that nobody
good news
knows, because it has the potential to increase feelings of security and confidence. As we learn a new language, we are literally creating new neural connection, as you know, and they can help really in rewiring trauma responses. That's
right, but
amazing.
it sounds paradoxical, but because when you're learning a new language, you do not feel confident, you feel underconfident, challenged, because you don't know anything. So how can you develop that confidence?
Exactly, that's the big deal. It depends on with how you are learning the language. So if you learn the language with people that tell you no, or tell you like, oh, you did a mistake, or all of this, usually a lot of traditional schools, they do like this. This will give more trauma to it, right? So we'll continue the trauma and we'll continue the stress, insecurity, the cortisol can even go up.
Right, so you're stuck in that pattern.
It's like the pattern. So that's why it's very important to also, as a teacher, to be trained with trauma responses and all of this, because it can, as a teacher, you are never only a teacher, you are everything else. So you can be all of it, the therapist, educator, tutor, whatever, So it's very important. Just to finish this, I wanted to say that if the confidence is done by a person that knows what is happening and has compassion, empathy, a lot, then you get there. You get to confidence. You get to this. It releases feel-good neurotransmitters at the end. So as soon as you get the confidence, as soon as you are motivated, or you learn, so you see your own development in learning, then is where you are going in another level.
Right. So tip number one, find the right person or people to learn that language with. Find some people who are positive, who encourage you, and who break that pattern of the trauma and making you feel not enough or not adequate. So find some people who can help you move forward using language learning as a self-development tool in a way.
Totally.
Cool. So let's, I think I have two connected questions, and just going back to something you said about how your coach or teacher can be everything from your friend, your tutor, your therapist. How do you work differently as a trauma recovery coach and a language coach? Do you blend both, or is it really separate when you're working with a client?
Yeah, very good question. So mostly is I can work separately, but still I'm not there. I'm not there with the marketing and with the confidence as well, like
your own
myself, you know.
self-confidence, right?
Yes, my own self-confidence. I mean, for what I wanted to do with trauma recovery coach, it was first to do the recovery on myself, because all trauma recovery coaches are survival, like are trauma survivals, right? So first you need to do a huge recovery on yourself, and then my second goal was to use it as really to connect it with teaching Italian, with coaching Italian. So connecting in my project. So everything is in one approach, that is the holistic Italian journey.
Yes. So
So
now it's best time to explain what is the holistic Italian journey. How does this work?
So the holistic Italian journey is, for me, is an innovative approach, no, that goes beyond traditional language learning and teaching, and it's designed as an alternative to crowded courses, to inflexive tutor schedules, you know, and the usual video lessons, like.
Right.
Yeah,
So like
the usual.
an alternative to one-on-one lessons, like video calls, like you and me for 1 hour talking in Italian, breaking down Italian grammar, and also classroom teaching. It depends.
Yes,
right?
it really depends on the service, because I have different services. So that's why it's not only one-one. You can choose one-one, but you can also choose holistic courses that are 1 hour and a half per week. So it's not really a lot all in one plate. And yes, and you can also choose something more online, that is like an hybrid, with my presence in chat and with the online course. So I provide materials and book and workbook, plus my presence for the first 3 months. So that's why, because it really depends on the needs of the learner. I am adapting this to all my learners that need something completely different. Yeah.
Right. And does this course, this online course, does it include the language, but also the mindset and the working on your self-confidence and all that?
Everything. The one-to-one are also doing, like the one-to-one, the holistic approach, and the intensive Italian program, they all are a mixture. That's why it's holistic, because it's all the elements are interconnected. It's not only about the language learning, but it's also about releasing the stress and creating new strategies for yourself. I can give you a suggestion, but then you know what is the best for you. So my role here is to make you understand what you can do better to release your stress, and to communicate better and to learn more.
Right. So an invitation to self-reflection, that the learners take power in their language learning journey and really become a driving force, and not just receive everything their tutor or teacher or coach says, but really, be empowered throughout the process.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think you have a little gift for our listeners who may want to get started learning Italian. You have a guide. Can you tell us more about
Yes,
this?
yes. I created a guide that has it's like there are a lot of tips for 5 weeks to become confident in learning Italian. I think it's okay. Okay, there are some strategies to learn Italian, but the main concept is also to learn a language, like how you can become confident in learning the language. Yeah, so I took some of my best practice when I was learning languages, for example, and also I took some studies from the trauma recovery coach. So the best way for your brain, the best status for your brain, how your brain should feel better and concentrate better when you're learning.
Mm,
So that's
right.
what is included there.
Cool. So there will be the link below the video and in the podcast notes. And I will download it because I'm just starting to learn Italian. So that's going to be my
Wow.
next project, and you will be part of it. So I'll let you know how I enjoy your guide. Looking forward to
Cool.
it. And now let's move on to the last part of this. So this series is called Crossroads, La Croisée des Chemins, because we're crossing paths. I'm crossing paths with very interesting people that I wanted to showcase on my podcast. And also, La Croisée des Chemins in French is a moment in your life where you have to make a decision and just jump in and follow your heart or follow this crazy project. Have you had a moment like that in your life? Would you like to tell us about it?
Yeah, mostly all my life is like this. But if I have to choose one, I choose the moment when I end up in Bulgaria. Like it was kind of a decision because I was working in Athens for 7 months, and then I in like my intuition was telling me something would be bad in Greece soon.
Mm.
So and that's where after 2 months there was a crisis in Greece. So I got this opportunity and I found a job in Bulgaria, and that's where everything started. So from there, the Le Creuset de Camin, the chemin started completely, like one after the other, because I found this job and I was working. I had my schedule. I could provide my schedule. So I went to volunteering in the refugee camps. Then I found my business partner with whom I founded a school in Bulgaria, the Italian school that started as a startup and now is one of the best school in Bulgaria after 8 years. And that's where that's my crossroad with this person that I'm very grateful with, because it gives me a lot of experience in everything. And
Right.
after that, this project, the holistic Italian journey.
Right. So yeah, from one little decision, everything trickles down and falls into place, makes sense with your values and everything that you enjoy doing. We can see your face light up when you talk about
Like
all your projects. Great.
and that's why I love this name, because it's exactly like part of my life. So I really relate to it.
Awesome. And that's something sometimes we don't realize, like we kind of go along as life presents things to us. We just keep going and make choices. And then when we look back and we think about what made this happen? How could I become the person I am today? What made this happen? And then you think of everything that fell into place, or the decisions you made, and you realize that you really had a choice in the way things went. Is your decisions
At
produced
the
a result.
beginning, that's very, very nice thinking. At the beginning, I thought this was luck. you know, and now I see it as synchronicity. That is a really nice, yeah,
Yeah, there
term
is a
that
part
I,
of luck. I mean, who crosses your path and who you meet, there is a part of luck always, but it's what you make of it that in the
yeah,
end matters. And in the way you approach language learning is also the same. Like, it's difficult, there are many challenges. You can talk
yeah,
to that person or not talk to that person, but if you talk to that person, what's going to happen? If you move to that country, it may be like, it seem like a crazy project. Everybody says, oh no, don't do that. Why would you do that? It's crazy.
yeah,
You don't know
yeah,
what's going to come out of it. So just follow your heart and go make a plan, like take all the necessary precautions, but yeah, just go and see what happens.
yeah. I totally agree.
Okay, so last question. Where are you heading off now? What's the next step on your path?
So the next step is I am planning to publish some books related to learning Italian.
So about explaining your holistic approach and telling us more about that in a book?
Yes, mostly I created something for, let's say, with 3 dialogues, but inside that there are a lot of not only exercises, but also a lot of motivational sentences and things that you can think about as well, you know.
Right.
I want to do this for from A1 to B to level advanced, but for now I have the first one is ready. I just have to publish. I'm still
Ooh,
like,
exciting.
oh, yeah. And then I want to go with publishing with more books and making like short stories in an holistic way, always, and with
Right.
Crossroads as well
Right.
inside.
Okay, cool. So that self-development through learning Italian or learning
Yeah,
Italian as you're also working on self-development.
exactly.
Super interesting. And I
That's
know
my
people who listen to this podcast are probably interested in that approach and blending, finding resources that connect with your interests is the best way to learn the language because suddenly you're not learning Italian, you're just reading something interesting in Italian and learning as you're doing it, right?
exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ooh, so that's my goal, being able to read your books in Italian by next year, by
Amazing.
sometime in 2025. I mean,
Yes,
Italian
please
for
let me
me
know.
is easier. I speak French and Italian and Spanish,
Yeah,
so I can probably get the gist of it, but I'd like to
yeah,
know a
yeah.
bit more.
I have many, not many, but I have some French speakers, and it's like learners, and
Mm,
it's super nice. They learn very fast, so
yeah,
I'm sure
cool.
that you will do the same.
I hope so. I will do my best.
Yeah.
Right. So, where can people find you online besides the link that are, I'll link the links below, of course, but where do you hang out the most?
I hang out mostly on Instagram. I have my page there, and I am constantly publishing some reels with something that I want to do something interesting. So I like teach some words in Italian, or I am writing some posts about trauma in Italian so people can read, but they are not so difficult to read them. And I'm also promoting my courses there. Another place where you can find me for sure and I answer immediately is WhatsApp. So you can find me in WhatsApp. It's everywhere, in my website, in my Instagram page, everything. So there, if you are interested on some of my courses or my services, you just send me a message, I'm answering.
Okay, super. Thank you so much for being with us today. And please post comments, send emails, send us messages about this interview, and we will reply. Thanks, Federica.
Thank you, Cathy.
Ciao.
It was so nice to meet you. Ciao.
Bye.